Cover Killer Nation, I'm glad that we're able to reconvene, especially after having to do that A Day to Remember video. That was fun. It's now time for us to do something and talk about something that's actually good. And after doing an A Day to Remember video, that expands a very large universe of just about everything. However, we're going to talk about something that is not only good, but it's being released this year. In fact, it hasn't been released yet. It's going to be released this coming Tuesday. It's Torture by Cannibal Corpse, the new Cannibal Corpse album. People have been clamoring for this album now for about 3 years, ever since the last one was released. And it's just been a long, torturous wait for Cannibal Corpse fans to kind of bridge that gap. But these are guys, if you don't know who Cannibal Corpse happen to be, they have been not only pioneers, but legends of the death metal scene ever since the latter part of the 1980s. They are one of the most important facets of the genre, and are also one of the best-selling, if not the best-selling in America, of the genre. So these guys are definitely very important, and whenever their albums come out, it is definitely a big deal. Now, I can already see some people out there in computer internet land that are going to say Morbid Angel, and I agree with you. But then I can see your little heads lighting up like, oh shit! A Lud Divinium Insanus part Cannibal Corpse? No, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to be standing up and going on a phenomenal tirade about how George Corpse Grinder Fisher decided to sing, I don't know, country music. I already did, you know, Country Goes Black Metal, and that was a joke. But that's not something that happened here. These guys opted to stick with the core Cannibal Corpse style. They were able to tweak in and tinker in with a couple of other different things, but most of all, 99% of this record is going to be just good old-fashioned Cannibal Corpse style death metal, where it's going to be all about the aggression, it's going to be all about the speed, it's going to be all about the groove a little bit, but it's very, very microcosmed on this. It's something where the groove is not necessarily a complete and total focus on this album. They enjoy the speed, they enjoy the ferocity, and that is what makes this album as good as it is. This is an album that I feel is extremely honest, and whenever I say that, I mean honest to the band's core sound. They're not this is a band that did not need to deviate in order to create some sort of buzz. With Morbid Angel, it had been so long since they had released a record, anything that they put out was going to create some semblance of a buzz within the metal community. However, it became such a negative buzz after people started to hear the record and started to really question what had happened, you know, what had really transpired. And of course, this was easily foreseen in my video of it last year, which you guys helped push past 30,000 views, which isn't a big deal to some people, but to me that's pretty cool. But with Cannibal Corpse, they didn't have to make any sort of change in order to really create a strong buzz amongst the metal universe, because this is a band that is beloved by a lot of people in the metal community, and really the only people it's not beloved by seem to be politicians and people in other countries that are trying to save the children. Yeah, this is a band that has been banned in various countries throughout the duration of their career, and if those bans hadn't been lifted, I believe that this would be another album that would create some sort of ire, though not probably as daunting as the ire that was caused in the early 1990s. This is straightforward death metal. The reason why I'm doing so much back history and all that stuff is because it's death metal. You have George Corpse Grinder Fisher's just demented, like Nathan Explosion-ish vocals that are just careening out of the speakers. You have just furious guitar work, the blast beat drums, and then the bass. And the one cool thing about this album is that at some points the bass is actually a focus. It's something that becomes kind of the focal point of the song, and there's a bass solo in there, which is just ridiculous. You just kind of chuckle at it. There's a bass outro, which just kind of makes you, you know, a little bit happy. And these are guys that are just going into the studio, they're churning out these tracks. Yes, it's hard work, but at the same time, they're just having a good time with it. And they've been on a great stride over the past couple of albums, ever since the release of Kill. Their sales have increased, and they've not had to change a damn thing about their sound. That's the thing. Whenever you hear sales increase, you think, fuck, what did they do? How did they tweak it? What commercial butchery happened? Nothing. Nothing at all. That's the weird part. It's something where Italians are just coming out in leads, and, you know, the Italians that knew them whenever they were, whenever it was 1990, that maybe now have children that are teenage, are like, hey, Cannibal Corpse, do it. Either that or they're just at least spreading that knowledge onto the younger generation now that they themselves have aged about 22 years. This is an album that is very straightforward, but in the correct methodology. This is a band where being straightforward is the only way to be, because whenever you fucking tweak with it way too much, it becomes something that's almost indiscernible. This is a band that created an album where they used their straightforward principles to their advantage and crafted a phenomenal record. This is a record that may not go down in Cannibal Corpse lore as the best of all time. And that's something that I understand. There's a lot of classics to go through and digest, and then eat back to life. I had to do it. But this is an album that continues the run of just solid, very, very good releases that constantly have that threat to break the threshold of top 20 lists and consistently just be up there. It just really shows this band's appeal, not to mention also just the band themselves being very true to what their musical philosophy has been now for a very, very long time. There have been deviations along the way, don't get me wrong, folks, but whenever it comes to right now, to 2012, they're sticking with it. Gotta give them a lot of props. Great record, lot of notable tracks on here, a lot of just catchy little hooks. But it's death metal, so what the fuck's catchy about it? You can catch a couple diseases. You can catch a couple people with a meat hook. You can catch a couple serial killers and then make them form a Mario Party and then go kill people. I don't know what the fuck. Anyhow, this is an album that I would give a solid 8.25 out of 10 to. Really enjoyed listening to this. This is what I'm going to be listening to a lot in the weeks and months to come. Really just an exciting time right now. It's an exciting time. New Cannibal Corpse. Go get Torture on Tuesday. Let's make these guys hit the top 20, guys. I think that'd be a really, really cool little thing to have happen for metal. Take care, guys, and have a good one.